Kosher Wine Podcast with Dr. Kenny Friedman and Rabbi Bernath.
Hello, Kenny.
Hey, Rabbi Yisrael, how are you?
How are you?
Baruch Hashem. Baruch Hashem. Chasdei Hashem. How are you?
Really special. Thank the Lord. This has been way too long.
Yeah, it feels like something brand new to me because it's been so long. This is the beginning of season three, I think. No, I'm kidding. It just feels like it because it's been so long since our
That's a
original.
great perspective. I like that. It's been so long, it's brand new. So let's start all over again.
Okay. It's great to see you. And now that we have Tisha B'Av behind us, may next one, by the way, be a Yantif. There's Hashem. I'm ready for that.
With simcha, with lots of joy.
And and Shabbos Chazon coming, so it's a great week to get restarted and enjoy some good wines this week, right? What have you been drinking?
So we have an issue here in Quebec, and it's just a perfect whirlwind. There's no kosher wine here.
What does that
So
mean?
So we have the Regie, the SAQ, the SAC, which is a government run. All the alcohol that's sold in Quebec is government run. And so because of this tariff war between Canada and the United States, they removed all of the US products from the shelves of the government run alcohol stores.
Right, right, right,
And
right.
from this is my take. This is my just because of someone who's in the wine world and living in Quebec, people ask me, is it anti-Semitic? And I said, I don't think it's anti-Semitic. I actually think that um, Royal has had for years, rightfully so, somebody here in Quebec who has been promoting their wines to the SAQ. They're a big buyer, and why shouldn't they have someone promoting their wines to the SAQ? And so most of the kosher wine in our stores has been Royal wine. And so when they got rid of all of the American wine and all the American alcohol, there went most of the kosher wine. So it's just a perfect storm.
So what are you left with
Uh, we have some Bartonura.
besides your cellar?
Well, my personal cellar. No, we have Bartonura.
Wow.
We have a couple like I just saw there was a Chilean wine, a Terra Vega.
Right, Terra Vega.
There's randomly there was a Pommery champagne that showed up, but that didn't last. That didn't last very long. But there's literally, if you go into any of the stores where there's usually kosher wine, these shelves are empty, empty.
Wow. Wow. That's pretty terrible.
It's terrible. It's actually terrible. And there's always like there's a lot of conversation in the Jewish community because you cannot get a wine for Kiddush right now in Quebec. You can't.
Wait, I understand something. So it's obviously this is a fallout of the tariff war, right?
Yeah.
But wh why can't you get it just at a far more expensive price? Like, why is it just not available? Like,
So part of
why
this
is it not?
whole the part of the whole thing, since, for example, the alcohol stores are run by the government, their reaction to the tariff war has been get rid of American products.
Oh, just get rid of it, right? We're not bringing anything in. We're
No,
gonna.
they have the wine sitting in a storage house somewhere. They just took it off the shelves.
Aha. That sounds very Canadian. What can I say?
It is, but it's so yes. Thank God, I am not having this problem.
Oh,
I'm
that's
well
terrible.
stocked.
And there's no kind of loophole from a whatever they call it, ritual type of perspective. Like, well, I mean, at some point, if that continues, can't the people that need it for ritual purposes say we need wine as
So
part of our
I was part of a group of people that went to the SAQ to try to talk to them. Again, I don't think it's anti-Semitic. I just think they just don't get it.
right?
Like they said, well, we used to have this wine, it was kosher, but we have this wine. It's on the Italian shelf. Look, this is it. But I'm like, yeah, that is the non-kosher version of that wine. But it's
Right.
the same wine. I'm like, no, it's not. Like they just don't get it.
Right. It's different than the basis of over the years, they'll have these things about shechita and whatever, and like probably, in some ways they're doing it for, altruistic purposes, but there's probably anti-Semitism behind it. This is not an anti-Semitism thing. It's just a fallout from the political thing.
Correct.
That's crazy. So do you see, is there word that that's going to change at all?
So I have been in touch with the SAQ, and they sent me a really nice email. Like you can see there are people there who actually care, and they sent me a really nice email that they have a huge shipment coming in August 18th, and they said the shelves should be stocked shortly after that.
Okay.
We'll see how long it takes. This government-run stores. We'll see how long it takes for that shipment to make it to the shelf. But that is the date that I was given
Well,
at this
wait,
moment.
here's the other question. So let me just, because I'm sure you already said this and I missed this finer point. Because you're getting almost exclusively royal, you can't bring anything in because it all runs through America. But you don't get in Canada or in Quebec, I should say, you're not getting wines from direct from Europe
I
or
think it,
Australia or anywhere
I think
else.
it wasn't an issue till now, so nobody really cared. So at the time, like again, Royal
But is
had
that still
had
the
someone.
case? Is it really like almost exclusive royal?
Yeah, Royal has had someone exclusively promoting the SAQ. So if you have somebody on it all day,
Interesting.
years and years. So what ended up happening over the past 15 years is what you see on the shelf is a lot of Herzog wine because that's what they've been doing.
Wow.
But
And so Bartonura does not come through the United States. Is that why that's there?
correct.
And that's the only and the Chilean one,
I don't
which
know that as a fact. Actually, it could come to the U.S. It could.
yeah,
It is an Italian wine, so maybe
yeah, but there
that's
would
what
be
it is.
other Italian wines, but okay.
I don't know exactly why that one, but that is on the shelf, and the other ones are not.
Oh yeah,
But there was like a pace. We knew this already. This has been going on for a few months, right? The tariff war is not
right,
new. And so at
right,
the beginning of the tariff war, there was stuff on the shelf that wasn't American. They just took all the American stuff off. But I think overall,
right,
obviously, we had Pesach, Shavuos, we had a couple of big holidays, and stuff got sold, and it was not replenished.
right. So interestingly, I've heard that speaking of royal and speaking of royal wines specifically, that almost all wines, and for sure royal wines, I know this, are going up 5 to 10% on August 1st, which is already in action. So it's like there's this weird confluence of that for you, plus even in America, wines across the board are going to go up. Also for the same opposite reason, think about Italian wines coming in here are going to be, or French wines or anything else, the problems that's going to cause. But Royal already is increasing the price of their wines 5 to 10%. And it's like it's such an interesting thing. And I've spoken to not only people in the industry about it, but people at Royal about it. And I'm like, I don't know I'm not their bookkeeper. I don't know anything, but all you hear is winemaker after winemaker and then industry person after industry person lamenting that no one's drinking wine anymore. No one's buying wine anymore. Younger people aren't buying wine, and yet prices continue to go up. And then look at you, you can't even get wine. But it's like I don't get the model. Like, what am I missing? Like, why does wine keep getting more expensive? And then yet, and I have something, I pulled an article that I read recently talking about this. I'll get to that in a second. But like, it's just, how do you see that moving forward? How do you see, like, it's just easier to, you know what? I'm moving to beer. I can't do this anymore.
I think there's an exception to the overall wine rule, and that is wine similar to the, behind me, there's all these books. People are saying, "Oh, the printed book is done because everyone just has Kindles now and they read things online." But in the frum world, in the Jewish world, the book will never go away because we have Shabbos. And I think the same thing with wine. Kosher wine will never be out of style because there's always going to be somebody who needs a bottle for Kiddush.
Right. It's really an intrinsic thing in our life and in our ritual life too, if you want to call it that, from as I've written about probably too often, from the bris to the wedding to everything. It's like
Right.
wine is a part of that. Yontif, Pesach, everything. So right, there is a shield to that, I guess, in our very small little corner of the world. But that said, um, take these like take the blow up recently and the constant expansion of the uber premium California 300, 400, $500 wines and French, of course, too. But like specific to California, I don't know why, I should feel worse about I don't spend $300 on a bottle of wine ever. But I don't know why anyone would feel worse spending it on a California cab versus some fancy French label. And it doesn't, I think that idea should be long gone for to some degree. But people are, you see Chateau, blah blah blah, like ooh, you shouldn't feel that much different. But the bottom line is, I don't even know how that market is going to exist moving forward. The uber premium, and there's been so many of them, like the market's almost been flooded with them. Who's buying them? Who's buying them? If I'm not buying them, I mean, you may be, but I'm not. I can't afford those. And it's like, it's already like I come down Sunday morning. I always leave my bottles out on my recycling area so I could take, number one, take them off my cellar tracker. Number two, I choose to write about some of them. But sometimes, like, I have even, I wouldn't say it's charata on Sunday morning when I see how much money is sitting on that counter, but like, it's crazy. It's like,
I know.
it's not normal.
So I, like you, I get a lot of the stuff people send me to taste. So that's how I'm drinking a lot of it. But I'll tell you something interesting.
I don't get that much of that.
And
I need
I'll tell you
more.
something interesting that I think you and I, being so steeped in this world, we're maybe ahead of the curve. But I keep on getting offers of very high French wine for not a lot of money.
What do
Like
you
for
mean
not
offers?
like
You're getting
offers,
private
like I
offers.
got a somebody offered me like they had like a Chateau Olivier, they had Pot de Canet, they had so like some bottles, and they were half of the price of what I usually pay for them. I
Yeah.
didn't buy them, but I do think that this may be indicative of what you're saying.
Well, right. And there's like with anything else, there's two reasons for that. And there's one primary reason for that, which is what do you think? They can't sell them.
Correct.
They're sitting on shelves. Number two, I think you're seeing a lot of that with the 2021 French. You're seeing a lot of that's if you look closely at a lot of
These
the
were the 22s, which
oh really? Okay.
apparently 22 was the best year in Bordeaux in 30 years, from what
Yeah.
I understand.
I think 21 did some damage, maybe unfairly, because I still don't buy into that 21 was as bad as like people like to. A few people said, and then everyone just bought into it that 21 was a terrible year. Granted, and maybe it wasn't a stellar year, but there were plenty of great wines I had from the 21 vintage, and but I think that had a tidal wave effect, and I think a lot of those wines didn't sell. Besides the fact that 21 was probably, you're producing wines following COVID. There's a couple years of COVID. So by like 22, you're making decisions on 21. And wine was like, it was like buster, sales. Like sales were through the roof in the COVID era. And then of course people returned to some sense of normalcy and people stopped drinking as much wine and buying as much wine.
They also didn't have the government handouts anymore.
And didn't have the government, right? And that was all the it was also a perfect storm in that degree, and that's why those wines sat. And it's like, and now you're seeing that right, like you said, but those prices have to come back down. I think so. This is, and I speak to Gabe Geller about this all the time. My issue isn't even with the. I know that's what we're talking about is the uber expensive, wines, but those prices will come down because I just don't think there's that many people to buy those. But and I think a lot of that will be driven by that stuff is driven by economy and whatever. The people that are really killing it, but I think that's probably going to calm down too. But who cares what I think? I'm not an economist. I think the bigger issue that always needs to be discussed, and we've brought this up and discussed it, on our podcast, is the beginning of quality price point.
Yes.
So that used to always be, and I get it. I'm not talking from 40 years ago, and like, why isn't it the same price as 40 years ago? I get how that works, but even in 10 years, that number has moved from like 18 to $20 to 30 to $40 to get into quality bottles. And people, so the standard guy that doesn't know that much about wine, but likes wine, enjoys wine, because most people do, they'll text me on Friday, I'm standing in the store, what should I buy? And I'll suggest something, they're like, that's $42. And in Baltimore, it's $50. And they're like, I'm not spending $50 on a bottle of wine. And they give up on it. They don't even buy wine. They buy something else. They'll
People
buy a
ask
bottle of
me
tequila.
all the time, under $20, give me a bottle. And I'm like,
Yeah, you're right. You're out of luck. And obviously there's here and there are some good wines, and of course there's a few white wines, but we're not talking about that. It's like across the board, you can't get quality under like $35 now.
Yeah. And
And
like you said,
that's a
people will
problem.
go for a bottle of tequila much
Right.
faster because
Right.
it's going to last you longer. And a bottle of wine, you open it up and that's it. It's done.
It's very off-putting, I would say, to standard wine drinker.
But then
Or
again,
review.
I see the issue that, Royal and others are having is that they have to balance all of these different factors. For example, the tariffs.
Right.
It's just what are you going to do? I mean, it's a reality, and there's now these all these tariffs not only in Canada but in the U.S. now tariffs on alcohol. It's the easiest thing to tariff.
Yeah, I mean, and we're not going to get into politics here, but I think a lot of that is, scare tactics on both sides, and everyone's just playing chicken with governments are playing chicken with each other.
But it affects me and you at the end of the day
Yeah,
because
well, it does,
we
but
want our bottle of wine and we can't pay for it.
but it hurts. Right. Well, that's a separate. I'm saying that's a separate part of it, but I think the tariff thing will eventually be. I think it'll be figured out because it's bad for both countries. It's not just like, so. It's a game of chicken a little bit, but the point I want to get back to is just that idea that it's just harder and harder, and that number like almost needs to come down. I think that number of just the beginning, the entry point of quality, not entry point of Carmel wine is producing a bottle that's $10. Granted, you could buy wines for 10, $15, but they're not going to be that good,
Right.
and that's and fine, $10 is not a fair price point, but $20 is. And $20 is not nothing. It's not to me. And you should be able to get some quality in a bottle of wine for $20. And part of that problem is really most of that problem is in the kosher world. It's a bigger problem in the kosher world because we pay more for everything and by a lot.
Right. Right. Especially for the higher end wines. Those higher end wines, non-kosher, and those higher end
Oh
wines
yeah,
kosher.
that's for
There's two,
sure.
it's like two
That's for sure.
completely different worlds.
Yeah, that's for sure. And everyone likes to complain about that. I almost don't even care about that. My point is really those beginning quality ones, the beginning of quality, not the entry price points, the beginning of quality price points,
Right.
where it used to be 18 to $20 not that long ago, and now is 35 to
What
$40.
if I called you from the store today, what would you tell me to buy?
Oh, it depends what you're going for, obviously, but like, what I typically look for, what I typically suggest to people, and this is going to be very like Baltimore centric because I
That's
know
what
it's
I want to
available
know.
here and it's very limited, and but those are the people that call me. Um, you get into the same few bottles that everyone talks about, the Terra di Seta and the Chianti, and if you want to spend a little more, and this is where you start running into problems, is like let's say like Four Cab Dupre, something like that, which is like I think very good quality, or Chateau Graysac. Like I buy and drink a lot of those myself because I think they're great quality, but they're 35 to $40, and I may even be wrong with that, but it's in that price range. But there's not, I mean, when you get into much less than that, with the exception of like here and there LV or Terra di Seta, or I still think Cantino Giuliano, something like that. There are some wines that are,
Yeah.
and Essa makes wines that are good quality, that are cheaper. There are some, but you know what? And this is not at all a disrespect to the ones I just mentioned. It's the opposite because I always tell everyone to buy them. But I get sick of drinking the same 4 or 5 bottles all the time. I want to drink other bottles of wine.
Right.
It's like it's very easy to say, oh, just buy Terra di Seta Chianti Classico. I don't want to drink that every single week. I want to. There's a lot of wine in the world. I
I
want to
mean, to
be
me,
able.
like the Horenza Semi is, especially the
Right,
past few years, it's not expensive and very easy
right.
wine to
But I
drink.
don't want to drink that every week.
Right.
I don't want to drink that every week. I want to drink different wines. I want to be able to drink French wines. I want to be able to drink Italian wines. And it's just, it's harder. I
I
have an
will
estate.
say what I will say, just maybe you'll disagree with me on this, but those 2022 Bordeaux's, I know they're young, but some of those lower end 2020, like the Chateau Regan or like just some of those like the Haut Philippon, some of those 2022s are really, really good. I would call
Yeah.
them fluke bottles.
Yeah. You have to know how to, but the problem is that, that's why people ask, like that's kind of one of the purposes of our podcast is, as we talked about from the beginning, is like helping people find wines because people aren't going to know how to find those bottles because the bottom line is out of for every one of those that you're going to mention that's inexpensive and good quality, there's 50 that aren't.
Right.
So it's so part of this article I read, it first talks about I'm trying not to read the entire thing, but I found it so interesting. And in the end of the first paragraph, even though respondents knew what they wanted, they're talking about in a wine store, they struggled because they couldn't speak the same language or felt overwhelmed by the selection, right? So
Analysis paralysis.
yeah, because and it's overwhelming, which is why and as why people always number one say I like cab because it's easy and they know it and they could sound like they know something. People aren't going to say Chianti or some unique grape that they've never heard of, or they're going to be afraid to pronounce something wrong, and that's a big part of it. But two things I read in the last week. One was about how younger people, especially people that got into their 20s, right about the time of COVID, are not buying wine. One, because of health and fitness, and two, because they got so used to in that time, instead of like going out and this isn't a Orthodox Jewish thing at all. This is a global thing. Instead of going out and partying in their early 20s, they were confined to their apartment or their house or whatever, and they just learned to do things by themselves and did not pick up that. So, and that's hurt across the board.
Right.
But where was I? It was um, oh, this was the interesting stuff, and this is something I wanted to bring up. And I've always felt this is a big problem. Is that wine? It said they felt it was difficult to find wines that fit into the everyday. Wasn't an easy way to know which wines to buy for at-home meals, and she felt guilty when she opened a bottle knowing that in a few days she would dump more than half of it down the drain.
Ah,
Because part of that is sizing. And I come to that. With the exclusion of using a Coravin, and obviously 99% of people, and especially very casual wine drinkers, don't have a Coravin at home. Or you're gonna even cost wise, it doesn't make sense to Corvin a $10 bottle when it's like $2 a pull. Forget that part of it. Most people aren't doing that. So you're gonna open a bottle and then what? So there needs to be, but there's a stigma against it, which this article will say also. There's a stigma against things like boxed wine or cans of wine. And you and I both know that. We even know there's a stigma against screw top
screw top.
wines.
Exactly. I was just going to say that.
Which is crazy. But
Yeah.
like, there needs to be more canned wines and wines made in smaller amounts. Like in our world, how hard is it to find a 375, like that half size bottle? It's so hard
There
to
are
find.
more and more now.
There are more and more, but still really limited. Like I buy them when I find them because it's like it's such a pleasure if my wife and I will share one of those for a meal. Like I myself don't want to open a full bottle, especially for a bottle that I know may not be good tomorrow. It's like some bottles I specifically open on a Friday night because I know it'll be better on Shabbos or even by Tuesday. But that's not the case with most wines. Most wines you open and they're meant to drink right then. They're not going to be better. So but yet you don't see there's not really a proliferation of that many half-size bottles or even smaller, and there's certainly not in our world of canned or box. That doesn't almost exist, with the exception of Bartanura and stuff like that, and then those kind of
It's
you
funny
know
because I remember Herzog trying it. They had that the Z and the Shen In, and they did these boxed wines, and apparently they didn't sell.
they didn't sell. There's a stigma against it. And it's the opposite of the label envy or the label showing off, is that the biggest reason a lot of people want wines and buy wines is so that they can show it off. Not the biggest reason, but that's an important thing to some people. And having showing up to a fancy thing with your box in hand, like a Dunkin' Donuts
Yeah,
box of coffee, it doesn't even matter what's inside. It's already people are gonna be like, oh, that's junk.
right.
I get why that is, but that needs to change if just for this reason, because it's turning into a real problem
It's funny
itself.
because when you were saying people calling you, asking you for recommendations from the store, the first question I ask when they call me is, "Do you want to show off or you want a good wine?"
Right. They sometimes merge, but you're right. It's a good question. I should I should start asking them that. But like this single serve on the go type of thing, it's such like we need more of that in the kosher world.
Yeah.
I think so. think about this. Like part of like it's something else I was thinking about. I should have written all this down, but it is my mind is fresh enough this early in the day that I can still remember some of the things I wanted to discuss with you. Think about the idea that the tariffs will potentially affect champagne, right? I'm coming full circle here. Think about this. Tariffs are going to affect champagne won't, it'll be so expensive or prohibitive or not even brought into the United States or wherever. And this is the United States problem, I guess, probably not as much certainly not a Quebecian thing, but the idea is what I'm talking about. Let's say this ends up being a major problem, just cost wise, right? So maybe that amps up production of something like sparkling wine. Even remember we talked to our friend Kevin Dana.
Yeah.
Maybe he starts pumping out method champagne sparkling wines, and his all of a sudden where he is at $40 is a tremendous bar. I always think it's a bargain anyway, but it's a tremendous bargain next to your $130 champagne. Then on top of that, he produces on the go like small, I don't know if you could do champagne in a can. Maybe you can. I don't know. Maybe, but that type of thing where you can get your type of on the go high quality sparkling in like on the go type of thing. Think about the good that could come out of
Kenny,
these
you're
things.
onto something.
I hope
I
he's listening.
agree. I so agree with you. Whoever, someone's listening to this is going to get this idea because I do see as a perfect example of the tariffs that champagne is going to become prohibitive. And actually, for big champagne houses like Laurent Perrier has already known that, and they haven't produced kosher for the rosé kosher, and they just because there's no need to produce it at this point, and it's just and some of the other champagnes are going to become so prohibitive that there is. I always saw maybe Cavas kind of filling that gap, but I do agree. Like any method champagne, whether it's from Israel or from the U.S. or from Spain, it's going to fill that gap because people still will want that high quality sparkling,
Yeah, I
especially
mean, I
Kenny,
think, and yeah, and
especially
I think,
Kenny.
well, especially me. I think that stuff is bound to grow anyway, and it has grown because people the heavier styles are going out and the fresher styles are, coming in, especially as we've said, Israel, place like that where it's hot weather. And I just think that stuff makes sense anyway. The last part of this article, which is like, I really was fascinated by this article just because of the points it brought up in my head. But it says, while QR codes have been touted as a quick means of conveying information, and again, this is within the liquor store or wine store itself, the resulting scan and compare would take too long, says this research guy. Vivino and other wine resources are commonly used prior to a shopping trip, but customers are less likely to use it in the store since it didn't help much in narrowing down choices. I use it in the store, but that's, I guess, some exception there. But inspired by the music streaming platform Spotify, this guy posited the idea of a wine app which paired collected consumer data with AI. So I don't remember who it is. Someone texts me all the time, like really has the idea that there should be a geared to the kosher world, like this whole conglomeration of all these kind of apps, like the seller tracker, but a type of thing that like, and it pairs to like, you put in 8 words, like bar mitzvah, bread, mabushal, you put in all these things, like I need it for this specific occasion. And there's two ways to do it. It tells you what's already in your cellar or it tells you what you can buy and the number. And someone should make an app like that. And I'm like, I don't really know if there's a huge market for a very geared towards kosher app. Maybe there is. Again, I don't know anything, but it's exactly what this thing is. It's all based on the prior, like that's how I hate AI and I think it's going to destroy the world, but I think there are positives to it like that. Like it's going to learn more about you before it takes you over and destroys you, but at least you'll get some benefit out of it and that it'll pick, but that idea
Saying
is
you
like,
will, but your kids may not.
but that idea that it can help with that type of thing,
I
with
wonder how many people off the bat do you know that would buy that app and use it?
I,
Buy it and use it.
I don't think that many.
If it came out and it was 9.99, would you buy it?
999 total or monthly?
Let's say a year.
Yeah, I'd buy that.
for 9.99 a year? Would you buy
I
it for
mean, the thing
9.99 a
is, like,
month?
it would depend. I don't even want people's suggestions. I'm not interested in some, certainly not some AI suggestion.
Right. That's
I'm
my
not
feeling. Is
typical.
like I'm pretty
If it had
confident that
other, if it had other usability, like if I could use it like seller tracker, then I probably would. Um,
one of the issue
I,
with Seller Tracker now is that when you put in a kosher wine, it gives you like what you should have paid for it, and it's never correct. Like it's always way off.
I
I don't
don't
know
even.
what algorithm they're using on the suggested retail price of that wine, but it's always like very shocking that it's either
It's
way too low or way too high.
That's what you should have paid for it.
Yeah.
I think it does have. I've seen where it has an area what like the expected cost is.
Yeah,
I
the
mean,
expected cost. That's what I mean.
yeah. Well, I mean, I when I enter my wine into Seller Tracker, I enter how much I paid for it, and it
Right.
uses that information. You're telling
I
me
also do the same thing,
I'm
but
the
I
customer.
find in general it's so all over the place.
Yeah, because it's all based on that. It's just based on it's like a Wikipedia of sorts where it can get anyone's garbage information. Meaning they're not doing it. It's all based on user input.
Yeah, and a
So
lot of I don't know why a lot of the reviews on kosher wines are all in Russian.
I've never seen that.
Yeah, I get so many of the wines that I put in. When I see the other reviews, they're in Russian.
You should go check your language thing on Telegram.
Maybe.
I have no idea. I've literally never once seen a Russian review. I see the same. I see the same. Only a few people in our world put their reviews on there. I see like sometimes I see Geller, Adam
Yeah,
Pritzker, who's a friend. I don't know if you know who he is from
yeah.
Savannah. He's a maniac with wine notes. The guy's like every single wine. He's amazing about writing wine notes down. The funny thing with his notes is that he speaks it in, so there's always ridiculous like errors because of what's it called? What's the word? Not transliteration. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When he speaks it in, but he's very good about writing his wine notes. So his thing is very useful.
Geller
Um,
has a lot. I always see Geller's
yeah, but
reviews.
I try to, but like I don't have the time to do that. I don't,
Yeah.
but it's like, but I don't see that many other people. How many people are
So
already?
there are a lot of again a
You're
lot of
getting
talented
Russian
people.
notes? I have no idea. I don't see any Russian notes.
Now that
Can you
now
translate
that I
that?
mentioned it, you're going to see it.
Yeah, because now the computer's listening. That's why. And what else? I actually wrote down some. Hang on. Oh, well, of course. I did have one wine, and this is what I had. This is brand new, but I have the Landsman Syrah, the new one, 2023.
And
That was just released. You can't get this.
I have not gotten it yet. I
You can't get
can.
it period, or you can't, or you're not getting it
I
now.
mean, it would be a process for me to get it, private import and everything, or I can just, if I'm in the States, I can bring it back.
Right. I thought it was really great, actually. And Syrah is not really my favorite variety. Something interesting about it, because I always hear people mispronouncing it. This, of course, this is the John Haydu, who's the winemaker, because this is produced by Covenant for their wine club, their Landsman wine club. People always say Landsman, and I don't think they say that. I'm sure they say Landsman, but I
Right.
think people don't. I don't even know if people get that part of it. But
You're from the Lower East Side, aren't you?
by way of
Landsman, a landsman.
side of Baltimore,
I always think of the Frisco Kid.
it's the best movie
Tony
of all time.
Landsman.
Of course, it's the best movie of all time. So, while the name of the AVA is pronounced Santa Rita Hills, just as it's written, it must be written as STA, period. So I hear people all the time say Sta Rita Hills. And I was like, I started wondering, am I saying that? Is it actually Sta Rita Hills? The reason it was a court decision because there was a Santa Rita winery in Chile which sued, claiming whatever, I forget what the term is, and that Santa Rita would hurt them for the AVA. So Santa Rita, in the United States, that AVA has to go by STA period. And you always will see that on a
And I
bottle.
always thought it was because somebody was too frum and they didn't want to say Santa, so they were. I thought I actually once wrote to which winery, and I said just call it Simcha. Why are you saying STA? Just say Simcha.
Well, that is the reason why, which I think probably a lot of people didn't know. If anyone's still listening, I hope people are still listening, then that's an interesting point. But Santa Rita, the AVA is in Santa Barbara County. and it's Santa Ynez. I'm actually reading this. I don't remember all this. It's a 30-minute drive north of Santa Barbara, which is pretty close to LA.
Yeah.
And it's known, well, it's become very like, and this is a pun line, but it's become a cool region because it is a cool region and it's cooler climate stuff. And I asked John Haydu, let me pull it up, but I asked him any interesting notes about it. He said on this wine, it's our last lot to come in, typically in November. That's when it's harvested, super late,
Wow.
because it's a very, very cold climate as California goes, and it produces a much more delicate type of Syrah, which I found. He wrote, the mild pressure is very high in that area and will likely be moving out our Syrah source back to Sonoma County for future bottling. So maybe this may be the last one from Santa Rita Hills, but I really like it.
Funny that I actually opened up this Shabbos. I wanted something special because I haven't had wine all week, and I opened up the Landsman 2014 Syrah.
Oh, I have those still, I think.
Yeah,
How was it?
yeah. I mean, it was definitely alive. I hadn't had it in a long time,
Alive but showing a lot of age.
showing a bit of age. I don't know a lot of age. It was showing a bit of age. It definitely wasn't as sweet as I remember it.
Yeah.
It's a little more aged,
Yeah.
a little much lighter than I
Yeah.
had remembered it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I probably should. I think I have that 2014, and if so, then I should pull it out and
The black label.
we can compare notes. I remember, I
Yeah,
know the
yeah.
label well. Um, well, this one I think was I like that cooler climate Syrah. I think it's much more my style than that heavy Syrah. You know, with the exception, I think, because I always say I don't really love Syrah, but I love Shirah, and I love all the Syrahs they make. I think I just they maybe they know what they're doing with the warmer climates Syrah, and maybe some of them are a cooler climate. I'm just off the top of my head, but anyway, I think this wine was very like olive and roasted meat and
Oh wow.
blackberry, that
Hmm.
kind of stuff, and um, really good. I really enjoyed it. And not crazy expensive for being like a club like special type of wine. Covenant is not cheap. You know, as we know, Covenant is not a cheap winery, but this is, I think you get better values in this. But of course, you have to be, you have to take a lot of it. But you can always like split it up with friends and whatever. So, but it's I like that Landsman wine. You know, I think there was a period like maybe I want to say 17, 18 where I left the club for a couple of years because I don't know. I just didn't. I was getting tired of it, and I didn't. Maybe there was a vintage. Maybe it was 17 vintage, which I didn't like that much. But then I had one a few years ago, and I'm like, I gotta give it. Maybe it was more than a few years ago, and I've been very happy with it since then. And I really like the wines that they put in. I particularly love the Pinot. Speaking
I
of,
saw
by the way,
actually I don't obviously I can't get it, but I did see that they did send out their 2013s in their recent box. That was interesting to me.
really,
Yeah.
2013
Yes,
Landsman.
I saw some people doing an unboxing of their recent shipment, and there was a 2013 Syrah in it.
Oh, I didn't see. I don't do that. I'm in the lawns. I just get the whatever Landsman that they release. That's the only one I get. I can you can always order other stuff, but I don't really do that so much. But speaking of, I was speaking to our boy John Haydu, and he's about to release an Oregon Pinot, which I'm very excited about.
Willamette?
What's that?
Willamette?
I don't know if it's Willamette. Maybe. I know he just said Oregon. Maybe.
Yeah.
I didn't ask him. I'll let you know. I'm getting it
I'm
soon.
excited. I my favorite Pinots are the like that Eola Hills.
Yeah, that Eagle is
Pinot
very good.
was amazing.
I'll tell you what he's releasing. He's releasing a Pinot, a very high-end cab, a Zin, another Zin. So there's a rare kosher Zin on the market. He's producing something called Heirloom Red, which I asked him what's in that. I'll tell you in a second. A Malbec, which is
Oh,
interesting.
we haven't had one in a while from him.
Correct. And I think this is the right way to say it, a Counois, which he's done a couple times recently. I
Yes.
asked him what's in that heirloom red. He said Mourvèdre, Zin, and Carignan.
Oh, it's gonna be really sweet. It's gonna be fun.
It should be interesting,
Very
yeah.
fruity.
And you're just sort of 130 years old. I don't think that's the bottle.
No, probably the vines.
I would imagine. Probably one of them is maybe the Carignan Old Vine. I don't know. Oh, he wrote Old Vine Morvet. That's what it says
Oh
that there.
wow. I haven't had an old. Have you ever had an old wine Morvet?
I'm very bad at these questions. Don't know.
I don't
Don't
remember
know.
having one. That's exciting.
Yeah, so and that's going to be very affordable bottle. Anyway, I'm excited about those, and I've loved his last few releases. What did you say you had a shot? Oh, you said you had that 14.
Yeah, the 14
Um,
Syrah. Yeah.
right. There's not that many other wine because I honestly had because of like the whole 3 weeks, 9 days, whatever. I just really haven't had that much wine recently. But I hope this Shabbos. Do you
Yeah.
have any early plans for Shabbos Nachamu?
Yeah. I have a couple I have a couple that I'm eyeing for Shabbos Nachamu, there's no question.
Is that a surprise? You're going to surprise me on the
I don't
next
know
one?
what I'm gonna drink yet, so I don't want to make a commitment.
Okay.
And I'm also I feel like a little bit of a scarcity mentality right now because it's whatever's in my cellar, and I don't.
Right.
I am going to be in the States quite a bit over the next few months, so I can bring stuff back, but I still feel a little bit like the scarcity mentality, even though
Right.
I have a lot of stock.
Right. Well, I'm for sure going to be opening a bubbly.
Of course you are.
I have one sitting right here, but it's only because I was writing about it, and it's the Bina Blanc de Blanc, which I love. I really can't get enough of that, and I probably should buy more before he sells it out.
You know
Um,
what I also had on Shabbos that I really liked? The Jezreel Alpha Special Reserve, the 2020.
we should get them on, by the way.
Yeah, we need to get them on. I was really again it was so interesting because I had the Syrah and the Jezreel Alpha is 70% Shiraz. So I was kind of
The
comparing.
Alpha Reserve.
Yeah, the Alpha
Good.
Reserve. It's a black label.
Yep. Which one was it? A recent one? 2020, you said?
2020, yeah.
Um,
If I
I'm
remember
looking
correctly, I don't
at,
have it in front of me, but it was 70% Shiraz and like 30% Cabernet.
and I
So
think some Argamon, which I love. That's what I'm looking at least. I don't know if that's true, but and some Argamon.
yeah, I mean the Cabernet was definitely like it took it over. Obviously, it'll take over Syrah, but it
Yeah.
had that like it was interesting comparing the California Syrah and then the Israeli Shiraz, which was a good Shiraz as the alpha as I think the alpha is.
Um, that must have been a dark wine.
Very dark, very inky.
Yeah, that's probably that Argamon. It's funny because I pulled up right in front of me, Wine Enthusiast. This is in 2019 Alpha Special Reserve. And I gave it a 93, in fact. I vaguely remember that.
Yeah, and it's not a super expensive wine for the value. I mean, I think I consider it a good value wine.
Right. It says here $26, but of course that was a 2019, and I don't remember it being that cheap. Is it
No, it's not that cheap. I think US I probably paid closer to maybe 40.
35,
Yeah, yeah,
40?
like
Right. Yeah.
closer to $40 for it.
Right. But we should have them on. Jacob has a lot to say.
Yeah,
And of course, our friend Reb Shachat.
of course. We should have them on together.
Yeah, we should
That'll
have
be
them.
a fun episode.
Now I was lucky enough to be there in January with our friend Simon Jacob and my friend Eitan G, who we should get on here too. Did you ever
Yeah.
meet him? You ever
I've
meet
never met
Eitan?
him, no, but I know he's a fascinating character.
Well, the interesting thing about our trip up north was that he fell asleep at every single winery. While
You should have
Simon,
asked him to sing.
what's that?
Should have asked him to
Yeah.
sing.
Well, if you look up on YouTube, you look up his name, you can either find the episode of the Chabad telethon where he got yanked,
Yeah.
or you could find where Howard Stern was making fun of him for being a Jewish rapper. So those are his two claims to fame. Anyway, he's yeah, lifelong friend of mine. We should get him on. He's fun to get on. Maybe we'll get him on with someone who actually knows something about wine. I actually
No,
always
I think
say,
it'll be great. We can get him on and he can fall asleep in the middle of
right,
the
I'll pass
episode.
on that. I happen to think that a good guest would be someone like him who doesn't know a lot about wine but is interested and he asks a lot of questions.
Yeah.
You know, we turn into for once we can actually be experts. Now I think we supposedly are. But you know what I mean? That might be good.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I have seen so many, before we go, I've seen so much food that you have posted lately. What are you doing with all of this food? I mean,
yeah.
I get hungry just looking at your status.
Yeah, I'm doing a lot of food lately. I have, I mean, some of them are for jobs and things like that, but I don't know. I've been very much in the mood, and it happens to be in the summer. I'm able to do it more because Arab Shabbos is a lot longer, so I get to do things more special for that. But I don't know. I did even during the 9 days, I was doing like some fancy fish things and whatever.
Yeah, I
But
saw that. It looked really good. Like
thank you,
really good.
thank you. Thanks for noticing.
Yeah.
Noticing. Um, well,
Any
it's
events coming up?
I have a few things coming up. One, well, as it relates to wine, I'm doing a thing for a Chabad in Maryland next week, which I'm looking forward to. I don't want to announce these things. I don't think they want all riffraff there.
Oh,
I sometimes
I'm
ask,
actually not going to be far away from there. I'm doing an event in DC next week, a wine event.
really, you'll be in DC next week? I'll probably be in DC next week.
Okay, we got to meet up.
Um, I've been in DC a lot recently, so I love DC. All right, well, let me know. And then I have another event, another Chabad event. I do a lot of Chabad events. Chabadniks they know how to do it. What can I say? Like they're always the best. I just recently did an event with my friend, my artisanal pizza friend in Baltimore, who happens to be a Chabad guy, Zalman, and we just did an event like prior to the 9 days, and just like a food and wine event. But I did like a lot of fish stuff, and he did his pizzas, and it was great. It was a lot of fun. We had a huge crowd. It was too many people, really, but it was great. And I just like I there's like a really expanding Chabad community in Baltimore. I don't know if you know that.
No, I don't know that. That's amazing.
It's really expanded. For a few reasons, but Baltimore's a great place. That's primary. You should come here. It's easier to get kosher wine here, and we can't say that to many people. Um, well, first of all, there's a very good Lubavitch yeshiva here. A very good name and like very good guys. Very close to my house. I just said very three times in that sentence, but and I think that's part of it. But a lot of younger couples have moved here, and it's really proliferating.
It's
In
amazing.
fact, one of my favorite places to daven, if it were closer, I would probably punish them with my presence weekly. But Rabbi Gurari has a shul. It's like a mile and a half from my house. I make it there sometimes, and like I love him, and it's a great place. And that's really like that's blowing up that place. I'm sure you know that name in general.
Yes.
I don't know if you know him specifically, but
I don't know him, but
actually, always I ask everyone if they know you. I asked the Chabad I'm doing one for. It's Rabbi Skolnick. You
okay.
know that name?
Yes.
Great guy. And yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
What
so
about you? You
yeah,
have it in DC. Wow.
I'm doing a big wine event at the JLI retreat. There's a big retreat, the Jewish retreat that happens every year. Somewhere like last year was in Miami, and this year it's in DC. So I'm
What
gonna
is
be.
that? Ella's leadership, I guess.
No, it's just like I don't know. It's through like the Jewish Learning Institute,
Oh, Jewish learning.
and they have like it's a lot of all different types of Jews that come there. A lot of learning, and they have events.
Yeah.
I'm going to be doing some learning sessions as well. I mean, I happen to also be a rabbi, and
Right.
and I'm doing a big wine tasting there as well.
Well, you probably don't get asked as often as I do if I still do my other job because people see my food things like, do you still do the other job? I think people assume you're still a rabbi on
Yeah,
the side.
yeah. I moonlight as one.
You and as a rabbi. All right. Well, great to be back
It's so good. This
and
was
great
great.
to see you.
So needed.
Yeah. Yeah. Every time it's my fault. Yeah, it's my fault. But every time we do one, I'm
It
like,
takes
I
it's
do it
both of
every
our
day
faults.
because
We're busy. It's
yeah,
but maybe we'll do one in person.
maybe that would be great.
Yeah.
We'll touch base off network. Try to see if we can match up next week.
Special to be together and
Yeah.
do a prayer for us that we should get some wine in Quebec.
Amen. Amen. I will. For whatever that's worth.
Exactly. It's worth
All
a
right.
lot. Your prayers are worth a lot.
All right. Talk to you soon.
You too.
And anyone should reach out with questions, topics, comments.
If you want to be a guest, maybe.
Probably not. Maybe. You're very interested.
If you
Kosher
have
Wine
good questions,
Podcast. Yeah, we still do get good questions. And the reality is, I probably forgot. It's been so long, I probably forgot about the questions we got after the last podcast. So my apologies. Resend them. But kosherwinepodcast@gmail.com. Is that correct?
correct. Kosherwinepodcast@gmail.com.
All right. See you next time.